Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing this group of fine people together this morning. We're blessed to have this opportunity to lift up our first responders today and celebrate all the work they do to keep us safe and to keep our community strong. And they play such a big part in everything that we get to do and the freedoms that we get to have. So we just ask that you lift up all of them here and all of them not here today. Bless this food, bless this time together, and just know we're thankful to live in such an awesome neighborhood and an awesome community. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, outside of our honorees this morning, do we have any guests? Any club members that brought guests that we need to introduce this morning? Okay. Thank you for everyone that brought candy this morning. We're going to be donating that up to the rec center for their trunk or treat. In the newsletter, and there was a text message yesterday, they are still looking for some volunteers, people to go up. You know, this is the Safe Halloween. We've supported it in the past as a club. Obviously, I know there's a lot of people with commitments on Halloween, but I believe it starts at 5 o'clock at the rec center. So if you are free, please see the text or the newsletter for that information, or reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to get you put in touch. You know, we don't need a whole lot of volunteers, but you know, I think Mr. Holmes is the only one who signed up so far. I know if you want an alternative to the Monday trick or treating, Oak Highlands Brewery is doing their own trunk or treat on Saturday, and asked if we would be interested in providing a trunk, because they apparently are going to have more kids than they are, you know, have candy right now. So that request just came in yesterday afternoon, so we don't have all the details, but if it's something you're interested in or you're planning on being up there, please reach out to me and we'll see if we can get something put together. Any other announcements from the floor? Yes, sir.
Early voting still going on. It's going on through Saturday week. The election will be the following week. I've gotten a few emails this week about Prop A, questions about it. It's on the ballot for those in the city of Dallas. The city's basically asking for the right to raise the hotel tax from 13 to 15%. You may have seen ads on TV, you may have gotten cards in the mail, there's been articles in the paper saying this is basically free to the citizens of Dallas. Well, let's dial that back a little bit. The fact of the matter is, anybody that stays in the hotel is going to pay that tax. If you were, God forbid, to have a power outage, or you may be a pipe burst, or you have to move out of the house while it's still paid, and you go to stay in a hotel, you as a citizen of Dallas are not exempt from that tax.
Temporary.
Just examples, just random examples. Just whiteboarding.
Money is supposed to go to bonds. There's two items basically. The city of Dallas wants to tear down K. Bailey Hutchinson Center and rebuild a $2 billion convention center. The other portion of that money is going to go to help refurbish and maintain some of the old Art Deco buildings at Fair Park that were built in the Centennial in 1936. A very worthy cause. But the fact is, the jury's still out on how viable a new convention center is. With the advent of COVID and Zoom meetings and a 30% increase in airfare, a lot of people are questioning as to whether conventions are going to be as viable as they have been in the past. If in fact, God forbid, by some hook or crook, the convention center would find it not be viable, then yes, you, the taxpayer, are indeed on the hook for those bonds. They don't just go away because they don't get that money. So once again, early voting next week and election the following week, and vote early and vote often.
You heard the man, get out and vote. All right, with that being said, I'm going to ask Mr. Brian Huddlestick to come up and lead us through our program this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin.
morning. So, as Director of Community Service, this is one of our most exciting programs. It's my pleasure to introduce today this quarter's police and fire recipients. If you would please come to the stage. Fire Rescue Officer, Paramedic Donovan Elizondo, and Captain Devlin. Also, Sergeant Ross and Lieutenant Payne, please. So we're going to start with introductions from their commanding officers and get a little background, and then we'll go into some friendly questions, and then we'll take some questions from Mark Holmes and everybody else.
I can lead if you need me.
Captain Devlin, please.
Good morning. First of all, thank you for having us. I've been able to do this a few times, and it's always a nice experience here. I'm Captain Devlin. I work at Fire Station 28. It's on Greenville, just north of Royal. And Donovan came to us a little over a year ago. Been a good addition to our work crew. We're at a point where we have such a good work crew. Everybody knows their job, does their job. That's the most we can ask out of anyone. Donovan came to us off of a military deployment. He was with the Army National Guard for 13 years, holding the rank of captain when he retired. And Donovan has a wife. He's got a wife. And 2 daughters. Just had a daughter earlier this year. And their names are Eden and Aurora. And with that, I'll let Donovan handle the rest.
Did you want to expand?
Please feel free to share a little bit with us.
Yes, Donovan Elizondo, like my captain said, Station 28 off Greenville and Royal. I did a 15-month activation in the Army National Guard, just stateside this time. During that time, the department moved me around a little bit, and I got assigned to Station 28. And since then, like my captain said, the crew has been fantastic, and we've been working really hard together to grow as a team and give back to the community that we're a part of here. Other than that, like my captain said, I live in Decatur currently, so I do drive quite a bit every morning to be here. But it's well worth it to live that far and be here. I'm originally from Mesquite, Texas, which is also pretty close to here. So I feel that I am part of this community, but other than that, I guess I'll wait for the questions.
Thank you. So, Lieutenant Payne, Sergeant Ross.
I'm gonna try to turn this off because, it always ends up, can everyone hear me if I talk loud enough? Okay. It's my privilege to be to introduce Sergeant Ross. I've worked with him for, several years now, going on almost 3. When I was 3rd Watch Commander, and now that I've moved over to days, I'm working with him. Sergeant Ross volunteered for the position he's in originally. He will tell you, because he's humble, that all he does is push paperwork, and that he chose that position to be to get days, weekends off. But in reality, that's not quite, everything goes into it. Sergeant Ross had one other person interview for the position after he volunteered to do it for, probably, 6 months, 7 months that he was doing it. And that's because when police get out and have to do stuff, there's several things that we're concerned on. The first one is just, our safety. But police, it doesn't matter. You have a man with a gun call, we run to that call. We have done that through our careers. We learn, we experience that, we take care of it. Police worry about, if I mess up, how's that gonna affect me? Did someone get hurt? And again, we handle that. But the third most fearful thing to police is paperwork. So, I'll be happy to take on that guy with a gun, but at the end of it, they go, hey, we need to do something. Sergeant Ross is one of the most courageous men I know, because not only in his career has he, had to deal with that guy with a gun, but he chooses to do the paperwork for us. Sergeant Ross is our admin sergeant at Northeast. His main job is to monitor and take care of our rookies. So when that rookie gets out, they come in, they end up going to a field trainer who does it. If they're having problems, it goes to the patrol sergeant. When that patrol sergeant still has problems, it finally comes back to Sergeant Ross, who has to take care of all that paperwork, but also he's the one that ensures those officers get out there and take care of it. When he's not doing that, his main job is to take care of the administrative portions of, Northeast. And as a military guy, and you understand what 100%, that's our sergeant major sitting right there. The commander does a lot of decisions, but who makes it, happen? And that's that senior enlisted person in the Army, and a lot of stuff that goes right back to Ross doing the same thing. His day-to-day activity, you have no clue what he's gonna do. It could be everything from, walk in Monday morning, and the first thing they do is let him know, hey, the toilet hadn't worked for the last 3 days. Okay, it's broken and it is running and it's still going on out there. Every single officer on the department could have, taken care of that, could have called the building services to take care of it, but there'll be 15 notes on his desk, to let him know, hey, the toilet doesn't work. That's always wonderful to be able to take care of those kind of things. At the same time, we don't care what he does throughout the day until I walk in and go, holy crap, I need the paperwork that the chief's asking for right now. Where is it? And, it's amazing that we live in, 2022, where everything is digital. In the city of Dallas, and Dallas Police Department, and I'm sure the fire department, we still do everything on memos. We still have to take care of everything. So you walk in and go, the memo went to me as a lieutenant, it went to the major, it went to the chief, then it goes to the 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, and he says, where's the memo? And of course, every single one of those people says what? I don't know, I signed it and passed it on. And it goes right back to Ross is the one who says, here's the memo, and and saves us in that regard. He's had a long career in the department. He's done multiple different things, from everywhere from patrol to vice to now our admin. His knowledge and experience is what helps us greatly at Northeast. And we're honored and proud to be able to have him. He is humble enough to say right now he doesn't deserve this award, that we should have given it out to a young officer who's out in the streets and do those things. But military taught me the same thing. Army marches on their stomachs. Without quartermaster, without those guys to take care of the admin and all those aspects, you don't have it. And Ross is the one that's being to take care of that, and it's a position that is overlooked and few people want, and he does an excellent and great job. And by all means, he deserves to be recognized today. On that note, he hates public speaking.
Number 4.
Actually, I don't mind public speaking. My name's Chris Ross. I've been in the department over 14 years. This is my second stint at Northeast. I trained here. After that, I went to Southeast Pleasant Grove. I consider myself a Grovite because I worked there with my partner, Lieutenant Dan Lacey. We were partners for 8 years on multiple assignments. And thank you for having me, my wife. Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you, Kevin Kelly, and my workers, Rovan Castro, for being here. And I'm ready for whatever questions you have, and I will not be telling any vice stories per my wife.
So, I guess first question for Sergeant Ross, is there a nickname we need to know about?
Be honest, because I will answer that question after.
So at work, Kevin, and only Kevin, calls me Boss Ross. And when I grew up, I was named Guido, because I'm Italian. That's all the nicknames I can recall. My wife has some nicknames for me.
The Boss Ross is the main one that, we give you, anytime we want to take care of something and ensure that you give him the little poke. But Kevin is not the only one that calls him Boss Ross. Most of the staff, Katie is one of his officers that also works for him, but she was unfortunately not able to make it today due to childcare. So they love the Boss Ross. He doesn't.
Officer Elizondo, what about yourself?
Nickname?
Nickname that we need to know about, please.
Oh, man, that's No, I mean, people just call me Eli or actually, the nickname, I don't think I should even say those out loud. There's a lot of reference to my nose, and so I'm like, yeah, it's not good there. I don't know, Cap, is there a nickname? Would you don't know? No.
Okay. So, Officer Elizondo, if you weren't on the fire department today, what would you be doing?
Oh, wow, that's a loaded question. I guess the short answer is I have no idea. But no, before I came on to the fire department, like you said earlier, I did 13 years in the Army. I was an infantry officer. I probably would have pursued that either further, but I was also in the civilian world. I was a banker, and as a banker, I was in that pursuit of money and trying to do things, and I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. I was very successful because I was a people person, and I was able to talk to people and be honest, and I guess the honesty is what moved me forward in that career. But every time I was looking out the window and seeing ambulances and fire apparatuses driving by, or even police units, I needed something more. I needed something else. So I wanted to come into the fire department. My brother is a Dallas police officer, so he's the one who's kind of persuaded me to come to Dallas. And Ernest Elizondo, I don't know if I know that guy. No.
Where's he at?
Well, he's deployed right now. He's also in the Army, but I think he was here northeast for a while, and then I think he was in the Grove for a while. And so he's been on for like 15 years. And he was what do you call it? Bomb squad.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean,
I do know him then.
yeah, okay. So yeah, other than that, I couldn't see myself doing anything. All right, this is way too winded now. This is it. I wish that I could be. I had the drive to go pursue money and all that stuff, but I can't help it. I got to do this job.
Thank you. Sergeant Ross, same question, please.
I would be an investment banker. I'm cheap. Yes, my wife, and I'm actually really good at investing in stocks. So that's what I would do. And after 2 riots, working as a police officer, I'm ready for something else.
I'll let you go with that one.
Sergeant Ross, would you share with us one of your most exciting days on the job, please?
So I've been probably on every bad thing that's happened in Dallas, me and Dan have been to. Exciting days. I've been in 2 riots. I don't know. I don't know if I'd call those exciting. I don't know if you guys, I've been through a lot.
So how about memorable?
I guess memorable, when we were one of the riots downtown in 2020, I was with Dan, I had to have SWAT come up and deploy tear gas because we were surrounded on 3 sides by people, and cars were stuck because they had all the racers were down there. And ended up tear gassing myself because my mask was not correctly. And 2 guys who weren't wearing masks had to carry me out. And that was pretty memorable. I still talk about that.
Most memorable, I'd have to say, so there's 2 sides to the fire side. There's a medical side and then there's a fire side. So those are pretty defined because some days I'm on the ambulance and some days I'm on the ambulance. So I'd probably break this up into 2 parts. There's always a good fire. And so I had a really, I know this sounds horrible, but fire to us is probably like y'all's shootings. You know, everybody shows up to the woodwork because that's probably the top tier level of what we're there to do. You want to do your job. I'm sure everybody in this room, when it comes time to really do your job, that's what you want to do. You know, like surgeons like surgery. You know, I love a good surgery. When I'm on somebody. That's our fire. And so, houses, a really good house fire, like lit up probably about 2 years ago, and being successful in getting into the fire, being surrounded, feeling the heat, and it being so hot that the air in your bottle turns hot, and you start breathing in hot air, and you can't see anything. and you're looking for somebody and finding that person as a team, you know, everybody's inside that fire, finding a person and actually pulling them out of a fire. That happened a couple of years ago, and that's my most memorable time on the fire side. Not only did we pull them out, but that person lived. On the medical side, this sounds horrible, but a good CPR. And what I mean by a good CPR, a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, we had a CPR that just went perfect. This guy was young, he was in his 50s, we didn't know what happened to him. We started doing everything we were supposed to do as a team, timing's perfect, we're doing chest compressions, we're giving medications, and in the end, his heart starts beating again, and we get him to the hospital. Now, even then, we leave the hospital after that, and sometimes you think back, I wonder if that guy made it or not, because you're still the most critical you're ever gonna be coming back from death. And then I find out a couple of weeks later that he lived. Not only did he live, he got to go home. And so things like that are pretty memorable, other than all the goofiness that we do to each other at the station. But
Next question.
Leading into pranks.
Oh,
What would be an example of one of the craziest pranks around the
yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, I got plenty of that. So we have a little statue of the fireman. It seems no harm, right? Just a little statue of a fireman. This little fireman's everywhere, and he's going to be in a place where you least expect him. So as a prank, they'll put him in the ceiling, or they'll hang him sideways. So when you walk out of something, bam, you got a little fireman in your face. We have something called Night Watch. We stay in the front room to ring the bells for everybody and to look at the screens when calls come in through the night. Well, I left on a call, came back, and my bed was gone. And I went to the kitchen, and the little fireman's in my bed in the kitchen. I don't know who had enough time to wake up in the middle of the night and to think about to do that. And then one day I had court, and I was like, man, I'm gonna put my uniform on. I just had it pressed and ready to go. I gotta wear my nice uniform to court. And I opened my locker, and the little fireman's wearing my uniform. In my locker, crunched up at the bottom. No big deal, but pranks like that.
Sergeant Ross, something.
They don't pull a lot of pranks on me, I'm kind of grumpy. Castro and Giovanni smiling over there. So it took me a while to get my bachelor's. I got it this spring to community college and Texas A&M Commerce. I finally graduated, and they decided to have a graduation party. And since I didn't walk the aisle, they made me walk the aisle. They got me a gown. And they made up a fake diploma, and it hangs in my office. And so that's the only prank I can remember anyone's ever pulled on me.
I won't go there, they're just the big pranks, but you know, I'll have to say that have joining this office in the last month that I now sit right next to him. Every single day there's something where you come in and you, no matter what's going on, you walk in and your name tag has been changed to have the new title. You know, you walk in and you know. His dogs, you know, were arguing and fighting, got in between them and everything, so now he's the canine trainer. You know, you get it's like that kind of stuff. If you have anything, you go on vacation, you come back and go, hey, I went on vacation, it was great, this is wonderful. Everything you say or do becomes the next one where you have the photo that's been doctored, that now is you up there with Trump, or you up there with, you know, Pelosi, you know, you up there doing something in that regard. So it's an ongoing deal in the last, you know, month that I've spent in that office. There's always something going on one of the desks that, you know, and they're now, you know, so they can do quite a few at, you know, Northeast in that regard.
Yes, Kevin likes to bring up I like to wear Hawaiian shirts, so he puts my head dancing in Hawaiian shirts. I don't really think of that. That's all. Only Kevin messes with me.
Sergeant Ross, this is for you also. Two-part question. So first part, if you were able to design your own cruiser, what car would you use?
Porsche 911 Turbo.
Okay, that was quick. Thought about that a little. And then second question, with all your different roles and the different responsibilities you've had over the years, what's the coolest toy or piece of equipment that you've used?
I've used pepper ball twice in 2 separate riots, and it's like a paintball, but it shoots pepper balls, gas, and it hurts also if you make contact with it. So the pepper ball gun.
Two parts for you, Officer Elizondo. What's the coolest piece of equipment that you've been?
Oh, mine's not so exciting. So as firefighters, we like to break stuff. I shouldn't say that out loud. We like to get into places, and one of our tools is an axe and a halligan, and we like just breaking. And well, every once in a while, you're a little tired, and you can embarrass yourself. And so, and especially if the door is really hard to get into. So one of our tools is a little rabbit tool, and the reason I love that tool is I can embarrass people with it. People can just be banging and banging on a door and can't get into it, and I'll just go and pop it open with this little, and all it does is just go into the wedges and break it. Other than that, yeah, the rest of the stuff, yeah, I wouldn't even get into. Kind of hard to understand.
Okay, yeah, second question, and this was one from the past that I've really enjoyed. If you're employed to rescue an animal from a tree, is there an animal that you would not rescue?
Oh, man. Yeah, it specifically has to be a pet though, right? It can't be like, because I don't touch nature. Like,
The answers in the past have been everything but a pet.
The tiger that was in Dallas was considered a pet to the guy. So you can have the tiger in the tree, so, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't rescue somebody's bees or something. I think that's like a bad idea. But yeah, a tiger or a bear, especially a bear. They're soulless, godless. I don't like them.
Officer Elizondo, what sport would you challenge your police counterpart to?
What sport? This is where I was gonna go. I was gonna do like a foot race.
Oh man, here we go.
They can even take their gear off, and I'll put mine on. Sumo wrestling? No. Definitely foot race.
Sergeant Ross, your response, please. Your sport.
I have a car and I have backup and a police radio. We can shoot.
I'd get pretty far.
Sergeant Ross, what would your sport?
Golf.
I'm in.
You want special assignment for that next week? Yes.
Gotcha, thank you for that. So take a couple questions from the audience, please.
Do you have a question?
Sergeant Ross, what's your football team? What's your favorite NFL team?
Oh.
The Cleveland Browns. I was a season ticket holder for 8 years before I moved here. They won 8 games in 8 years.
You'd be pleased to know that I'm 100% bandwagon. I'm only for who's winning, so it's really weird. I just became an Eagles fan not too long ago. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Given the current environment, how hard is the recruiting efforts to maintain standards in your various departments?
I think we're short 1,000 officers, whatever they want to tell you, it's 1,000, because Dallas keeps growing, but we keep the same numbers, which is weird. Now we're supposed to be at 3,600, but we added 250,000 people. That doesn't really add up. No, we can't recruit, so I actually see the numbers. Usually we have 30 to 40 officers in an academy class. The next class is 17, and the next 3 after that are 17. So yeah, we can't recruit. It's pretty obvious why no one wants to be a cop or a police officer anytime soon. So it'll be an issue going forward. There's no fixing it. I mean, unless you want to pay us a lot of money, but there's only a limit to that.
I can't really answer that on our side, very specific, give very specific, a lot of detail on that, but I would say I've heard that it is challenging, but our recruitment has changed in terms of the school that they go through. So I think with the increase and it being difficult of getting recruits, the way that we've changed and structured our education program to where they come in, they go straight into EMT school, and then they go straight to paramedic school, because in the city of Dallas, you have to be a paramedic to be a firefighter here. And then they go into fire academy. It does weed out those who would be having some difficulty in the education portion, so that we do get good quality paramedics, good quality EMTs on the field. And then when they reach that, they've already reached those goals, and they hit the fire academy side, they can focus specifically on just learning fire academy and not be worried about passing their national registry on the EMT or paramedic side. They can solely focus on fully training, getting fully trained on the fire side, so that we have a more successful firefighter coming out into the street. As far as numbers, we've been recruiting for quite some time, and I don't know what those numbers look like. Hopefully it's good.
But if you're interested in joining, please come see us.
So, what is something specific that you would like to see from the community to show you, to offer you more support?
That's a loaded question. What I would want to see from the community, because usually we are a reflection on the community. On the fire side, it's going to be a completely different answer than the police side, but things that we respond to everything in the city of Dallas. You can call 911 for a stumped toe, and we show up. So things, man, I don't even know how to say this, but things we would look for would probably be more of severity. If it's a sincere call, people need to be educated on what an emergency call is versus, do I need to just get an Uber and go to the doctor, or if I just need to take myself to the doctor, or call a clinic or something. Because we do respond to a lot of calls that I'm pretty sure a lot of us in the room wouldn't call 911 for, but that's probably something the community needs to be educated on. I don't know where that education starts, if it should come from us, but it's like, if I'm responding to a stumped toe and there's a major car accident down the street where there's a hurt child, that child has to wait 3 to 5 more minutes to get care because I was responding to a stumped toe, stuff like that. And so I think that's a very real conversation that people need to have. You got anything, Kevin? Was I supposed to say that?
I would say probably a more local community. When you hear people say defund the police, or when you see something that looks bad on TV, because we're not perfect, no one's perfect, but they expect perfection from us. And I think we're judged as police by the broadest brush of any job in the country. One person in Minnesota does something bad, and we're all racist. And I've never met that person ever. So I think a more vocal voice against some of the things that we've been seeing in the last 5-10 years, because no one ever stands up for us or says anything. No, that doesn't seem right. And now we're all paying the price, because now crime's up, because no one was willing at the time to say, no, that's not actually going to work. That would be it.
Thank you.
Got a question?
Of course.
So, quarterly, we have everybody up there, and a common theme is some, if not all, have served time in the military as well as serving in the fire and police departments, which I think always speaks to y'all's commitment to duty and service. What other elements, or what did y'all enjoy most about your military, for those that did both or are doing both? What other elements carried over from that calling, from maybe doing military and then going over into the to the departments, or vice versa, to where it just fits you? And it really resonated with me that you're saying it was my calling. But what are some other things that you guys have been both military and now serve the community in the roles you do now?
For me, it's always, when people ask me like why you became for the military side, why did you join the military? And then people also ask, why did you become a firefighter? I used to in the past, I'd always go to a generic answer, a generic, well, I want to serve the country, I'm a patriot, you know, I always wanted to be a fireman when I was a little kid and this and that. And then I come to the realization later on, like actually reflecting back on all these years in the military and my time in the fire department. And me and my older brother had this conversation, and it comes down to, I can't help it. And it's gonna be different for everybody, but for me personally, I can't help it. Sometimes I wish I could, but I can't help the need or desire to do these things, especially in the Army. I was infantry. Actually, I started off enlisted. I was a combat medic, and then I became an infantry officer. I went through OCS, and me and my brother actually went to OCS together. OCS is a commissioning source to become an officer. We were the first two brothers in the Texas Army National Guard history to graduate OCS together. And he's still in. I'm in the process of getting out of the Army right now. My final date's in a couple of months. And I made it all the way up to company commander. On the military side, I always had that desire, and I was like, you know what, I can't help but be in the military, especially at the time. And my goal there, you know, and as appreciative as I was to everybody who was patriot and would say thank you for your service or try to swap spots with me on an aircraft or an airplane, it really wasn't about that for me. For me, as an infantry officer, my goals were to just bring people home, get them trained accordingly, and make the best decisions possible for my soldiers. But then crossing over to the fire side, like I said, I was a banker. And I was successful. Financially, I was a lot more successful than this career. But once again, I just was not happy. I was not happy in life. I wasn't happy doing it. And it just dawned on me, I can't help it. I can't help, and I don't even, other than that, I don't have a bigger answer than that, other than I can't help but to do this. And you know, sometimes I wish I could. Sometimes I wish I was chasing money. Sometimes I wish I had $1 million house and all that stuff. Not for me, you know, it's not who I am. I have to do this job and I have to be involved. And that's actually what makes me feel the most normal as a person is to do this job and come home. My wife's an ER nurse, and we're able to, yeah, our dinner conversation was pretty interesting. And only these guys get my humor and we all kind of have this thing in our head. And there's a lot of similarities between us. And like I said, my brother's a cop, and so the rivalry was really intense there. But yeah, that's my only answer. It's a very difficult one to answer, but it just comes down to I can't help it.
Good.
Yeah. To add on as best I can, and I'll make it short. We're going, you know, I wish I could say that I could train the person, but you know, I agree 100%. It's just who you are. You know, we have terrible hours. We have, you know, terrible stress. You have terrible, you know, we eat bad. Everything that's going on, and no one cares. You still do it. You know, at any given time, in the middle of the night, there's a fireman and there's a police officer out there. But you know, it's not something that you go, hey, I'm doing this for the money. I'm doing this. This is my political career stepping stone. You know, what it comes down to is the protect and serve. You said, you know, that's what I told my recruiter 25 years ago. I love the job. I want to put bad guys in jail. I want to be able to help people and take care of stuff. I want to make sure that my community is safe, and where I live, I want to have the same thing. There are people that need to go to jail, and I see those people every day. In reality, instead of telling my recruiter, I want to protect and serve. No, when I was driving down here, a guy cut me off. He was doing 110 miles down, on the freeway, almost caused the accident. He needs special attention. And I want to be the guy that lets him have that special attention.
Was he in a 911 Turbo?
I got to be able to catch him. He's doing 110. So yeah, things have changed in the 25 years that, I've been on. but the men and women that, are sitting here with us today, all still have the same thing. They want to do this. It's a desire in you. There's not a whole bunch of true benefits to it, but I love the work, even though I'm gonna complain about it every day. I was not in the military, sorry.
I was not in the military. The reason I started doing this job was my uncle was a cop in Cleveland for 28 years, and I was close to him. And Cleveland doesn't hire police; they only lay off police. If I would have got hired at the same time I got hired here, I would have walked across the graduating stage and turned my gun and badge in and been laid off for 6 months. That's no lie. They actually lay off police officers all the time up there for money reasons. But that was the main reason. And I would have loved to work for Cleveland, but Dallas gave me the opportunity, and I'm glad I took it. I'm glad to be in Texas, because it's not cold here as often.
We are too. So, thank you, and at this time, I'd like to present you with the plaque for recognition. Before I do, so I'd like to say thank you for your guests showing up today. We know you guys and girls are busy, so we appreciate your presence. Sergeant Ross. Please stick around after the program for some quick pictures. Thank you. Mr. President.
Congratulations again, guys, a well-deserved honor. And we are honored to have just the opportunity to recognize you guys and shine a light. It's one of my favorite meetings that we do. So, thank you for being here. Reminders, we're still looking for volunteers for the trunk or treat, both Saturday and Monday. If you're interested, please reach out. And y'all have a great Friday.
All right.